Ever since the day that you went away, you went away.
Hi everyone, my name is Andra and I make commentary videos. So it's been a crazy couple of days. I kind of just wanted to let the whole thing settle down a little bit before I talk about it, because this is a very, very delicate subject. It's about what's happening with the whole Jeffree Star Dahvie Vanity case, and well, there are YouTubers who are already talking about it, such as CreepShow Art, and she explains exactly why Jeffree Star should be held accountable for the whole situation. So if you're not familiar with this at all, I would recommend checking out her channel first, and then there's Pastel Bell. I think Repzilla has quite a few videos on this matter as well. It's not a very comfortable subject to talk about because it involves grooming, statutory rape, and just a lot of just very, very delicate subjects. I just want to say if it's gonna be very, very hard for me to talk about this because I have been in a very toxic situation in the past. I was a lot older than these people who were involved in this situation. I was 17, so almost of like legal age, but it still affects me emotionally. So if I'm not as coherent as I should be, this is why. So please don't hold me accountable. I know it's not the best straight-faced journalistic style video that it can ever be, but I just want to talk about this a lot because it means a lot to my heart. And this is a problem that will never end unless we just try to take down every single person who's involved in something like this. This is a culture, unfortunately. Rape culture is a thing, and people who are famous think they can get away with everything, and I just hope that people can wake up, because Jeffree Star's followers, let's say stans, because I feel like a lot of people follow him just for the makeup, and I still think that's not acceptable, because if he was defending a pedophile and then he had at least 3 more people that we know of who are pedophile and they were in his friend circle, so that's 4 people in total if you include Dahvie, and it might even be more, then, you know, you should never put money in a person like this, in the pockets of a person like this. So if you wanna get the makeup for the sake of it, I can't stop you, but I would say please be careful where you place your money, because you are providing a livelihood for a person like this, and the people who are paying for the tickets to that concert are the reason why this person has a career, and they, without knowing, have facilitated Dahvie Vanity doing what he's done. So I would say, now that we know what we know, obviously back then people didn't know what's going on, but now that the situation is a lot better known, I would say please be careful where you put your money. At the same time, I want to say Jeffree Star's stans, who follow him blindly onto everything that he does, I don't feel like they're gonna cancel him. Even if, for example, today we found out that Jeffree Star had stabbed someone and killed them, they would be like, well, sweetie, that person was asking for it. So they would find a way to justify it. They would find a way to justify everything. But I ask you, you know, if you can find it in yourself to understand that there's so many victims, there's hundreds of people, they're not all lying. And a lot of them have said with their own mouths that Jeffree was there to see some weird things going on, so he's an accomplice to this, and he doesn't want to speak out, he doesn't want to help, and you can't discredit so many people just because you like Jeffree Star. That's what I'm gonna say. I hope he gets cancelled because it's long overdue. He's done so many problematic things, no one else is getting away with the things that he's getting away with. People have been cancelled for way less, but at the same time, he's sitting there on top of the YouTube empire for whatever reason, His makeup seems very good. I've never bought a single product from him because I always thought he was shady with the racist allegations. But yeah, I hope that people open their eyes. If you want to watch the interview with Chris Hansen that he did in regards to this, because this is what it's going to be about, feel free to watch it before and then return to the video. We're going to talk about what the YouTubers have said about this. So there have been a few live streams. There's been Edwins Generation had a live stream on his second channel, which is called Homeboys Got Receipts, and then Repzilla had one, and I know there were a lot of other people who did, but I'm gonna talk about this too because there were a lot of guests on both of them. On Edwins there was a lot of YouTubers who were the guests, so we're gonna kind of sum up what we found out about this very briefly, because Edwin has chosen to delete his after it finished airing because he wants to put it on his Patreon. So I don't want to take away his livelihood. He's my favorite YouTuber. So if you want to watch that whole thing, I think I watched like 7 hours of it. It was a lot longer than that, but it was like 5 a.m. So I was like, I'm going to sleep. I can't anymore. And then I watched Repzilla's one the following day. It's like an hour and a little bit. Last I checked, it was still there. So I don't know if he's deleted it or if it's still there, but feel free to check it out. And I'm not gonna put any clips or anything, so if you don't want to take at face value what I'm saying, as I said, go on Edwin's Patreon or whatever he's put it and just pay for it if you don't believe. The only thing I'm gonna be putting is a screenshot from one of the survivors of this person, Dahvie Vanity, in which she says that she's seen him creeping on this live. So I wanna point that out, how this person is just remorseless. And he doesn't care about all his time. He doesn't see it as something wrong. This has been spawning for over a decade and he is still doing these things. He's still grooming teenagers. He's like 40 now or something and he's still doing that. So please, if you don't believe what I'm saying, go and seek it out yourselves because there is proof. I just don't want to be the person to put a stream that has been deleted from YouTube because I respect other people's choices. So it's up to you what to do. If you want to believe me, that's fine. If not, that's fine as well. But there have been multiple YouTubers who are present there and they've all spoken up about this on multiple occasions in the past. So let's break it down. Who was there? What was happening? Let's talk about it. So I've got my notes here and first we're gonna talk about Repzilla's stream because it was only 1 hour, so there's a lot less to discuss. So his guest appearances were from 3 different survivors of this case. One of them was the most popular one, I think, when it comes to this. I actually never knew who Blood on the Dance Floor were. I've only started seeing this case recently on the people that I'm following. Like I said, like CreepShow Art posts about it, and then I kind of went down the rabbit hole into, you know, researching because, as I said, this is a personal thing to me and I hope this person ends up in prison because the fact that he's been doing this for so long and with so many different people just points out that he's never gonna stop and he's always gonna take advantage of his fans and he's dangerous and he has no guilt about it or anything. So the 3 survivors were Damien, as I said, who's the most popular case, most mediatized one, let's say. They're a gender neutral person now, but I think they used to go by Jessi Slaughter, so they used to identify as female, and they went on Chris Hansen's show to talk about what happened. And then there were 2 more people, Mal, who was I think one of the merchandise people for the tour, and Ashlee, who was also on Edwin's Generation stream later on. So we're gonna talk about her only on Repzilla's stream for now, and then I'll bring it up what happened on Edwin's stream. So Ashlee pointed out in regards to this interview that Jeffree had contradicted himself a lot and that Jeffree had, when it came to the names of the survivors being mentioned, so Chris Hansen has mentioned Damien quite a lot and Jeffree would kind of like stare blankly into the air and like avoid, you know, answering the questions because he knows these people from back in the day. He knows them personally, so it's just, I guess, weird for him to have to address it because he knows that he's contradicting himself and he's lied and that it's gonna come out, make it, you know, in a way that makes him look bad. And there's also been information that Keemstar is gonna be making a podcast with Jeffree Star, and Ashlee's not happy about it because Keemstar is incredibly unfamiliar with this situation, as you will see when we get to Edwin's stream, because he was actually one of the guests in Edwin's stream. So Keemstar has never covered the situation. Keemstar doesn't know a lot about this situation, and suddenly he wants to interview Jeffree Star. This is a big grab for views and for money and for clout. He doesn't actually care about these people. There are other people who have been making videos about this for a long time, and yet he's the one who gets to interview. It's confusing to me. I feel like Jeffree Star only wants yes men to interview him, because that's what Chris Hansen was. Chris Hansen was hyping him up so much and talking about his like philanthropy and stuff more than what happened. So what did we find out from this situation? There's more survivors of this case who are gonna be talking to Chris Hansen in the future. Apparently there have been already scheduled interviews. That's what the girls have been saying. So Ashlee and Mal are both in contact with several other people. I think Damien is as well. But they've also said something very interesting, in that Dahvie Vanity's family is supposedly aware of what's going on, or at least aware that he's hanging out with minors, which I feel like that would raise a big question mark to every parent, to see your child, I can't even call him that, he was like 30 when it happened, or 20 something, like late 20s, hanging out with 12-year-olds. That's obviously a big question mark for every single parent. So I don't really understand why their reaction was non-existent. They've also said that, so all three of the survivors on the stream have said that they are in contact with the FBI, and that there are other people who want to be nameless who are in contact with the FBI. So I really hope that this person ends up in prison where he belongs. So they kind of compared this person, Dahvie Vanity, to the likes of Ted Bundy, but with rape instead of murder, because of the extent that he's gone to. There are over 100 people apparently who are involved in this. A lot of them don't want to come forward, which I perfectly understand and respect. And he's also been compared to, obviously, R. Kelly, but for the emo scene instead of the more mainstream. And I think that's merited. He's disgusting. Even with the number of people that have come out, even if that was the only number and there was not so many other nameless, faceless people that we don't know about, that would still be insane, because there's dozens already who are talking about it, and it's just insane to me how he got away with it for so long. Obviously I'm not blaming them, because they were underage, they didn't know what was going on, but so many of the parents were aware as well that this was going on, and obviously his band and his tour crew and like Jeffree and all of them were aware, at least had suspicions, and they did nothing about it. It just baffles me. This is a decade, think about it. So let's get back for a little bit to the actual stream with Chris Hansen. So there has been a lot of money donated, and they haven't said a single time that they're gonna donate the money to the survivors or victims or whatever you wanna call them. I prefer survivor for myself, so I'm gonna call them survivors because it empowers them rather than bring it back to that moment in time when they were victims. All the people, when they were donating in the chat, they were writing stuff such as like, for the victims, but then how do you know that money is gonna go to the victims? And all three of the people who were in Repzilla's stream have agreed that it's not money that they need, it's justice. It's for Jeffree to speak up on it. And the fact that when he was asked, what can we do for the victims or survivors, he said, we're gonna, you can open a GoFundMe. Why not do it yourself, because you are partially responsible for this? Or better yet, why not give your own money, because you've had no problem donating for people with COVID-19, which obviously is horrible, but when it's something like this that you are personally to blame for, you should have all the more reasons to donate. Why are you asking normal people to donate, and why are you not donating the profits for that stream? All that money is going in Chris Hansen's pockets, and you know it. And I feel bad for the people who are gullible enough to donate thinking that that money is going to go to the survivors, because you're never going to see that money in their hands. And these people need more than that. They don't need money. They need resources. They need resources to therapy. They need resources on how to file a police report, how to file FBI report. One of the survivors from the stream has said that he had resources. I don't know if it was Ashlee or someone else, but yeah, I'm gonna leave out their profiles in the description. One of them had all the resources on what to do if you are in a situation like this. So if anyone has ever experienced that, I hope not, but you're gonna have at least some resources for what to do if you're in America and this has happened to you. Another thing that these three people have agreed on is that when they met Jeffree Star, he was a bad person in real life, that he was very arrogant, and just the way he comes across on camera, he's pretty much the same in real life, so he's not nicer. Don't imagine that he is. And they've also said that they were very, very upset about the fact that Jeffree Star called this thing drama, when he said that people shouldn't drag him into the Dahvie Vanity drama. What do you mean drama, when it's a criminal offense, it's a felony, it's not a drama, it's serious. Rape fucks you up, never gonna be the same person. You can't call it drama. It's not the same as the James Charles situation. Even though if you think about James Charles situation, it draws so many comparisons. When Jeffree said, I did not see anything suspicious happen, I was lying, and then he called out Dahvie Vanity on being a predator before that, it's the same as what he did with James Charles when he called him out for being a predator and said he had proof, but then he had zero proof and he backed off. Obviously for Dahvie Vanity it's true, and there are so many people to corroborate on the story, but with the James Charles thing, it shows that 1 decade later he's still the same and he still accuses people of things when he's not happy with the way things are going, with, I don't know, James Charles getting more subs than him. He's not happy about that, so he's gonna slander his reputation. And with Dahvie Vanity, I don't know what beef was going on between them, but clearly something happened between them that caused the rift, that caused him to write that publicly, because how can he back off and how can he say, I hope the victims find peace? You could have been the one to help them to find peace, and yet you are sitting in your billions of dollars mansion and you're doing nothing. You don't care about these people. And honestly, in Edwins' generation stream, there has been a lot of things revealed on this matter, which point out to Jeffree being exactly the same as Dahvie Vanity, but not to the same extent. So Jeffree Star is a predator, and there has been proof given, not only there, but on some of the YouTubers that were involved in Edwin's generation stream. They have hard, solid proof on their channels, or some of them have at least circumstantial proof, but it does seem like, because it's a precedent situation, it seems like it's too much circumstantial evidence for it to be disregarded, because it piles up to, I don't know, my ceiling. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much proof. And yeah, pretty much Repzilla's stream was just how, you know, talking to the survivors about how they felt, and they all agreed that the interview was just poorly handled and that they expected more from Chris Hansen, especially considering that Damien themselves were on the Chris Hansen show, and you would think that this person would have an interest to help these people because he's interviewing survivors left and right, but it feels like he doesn't personally care, it's only for clout. So they've all been upset about it, and understandably so. I hope that they find not peace, because that's bullshit. I hope they find justice. This is all I'm gonna say. So many cases that have to do with rape are not reported, or if they are reported, they do not result in a conviction. I hope that in this case, this person gets punished for what he's done, because it's such a big scale of events that it's hard for me to comprehend how he got away with it for so long, and that there were so many witnesses to, obviously not the rape itself, but to other things going on, that no one questioned it, and I just don't get it. So please, please, if you can support these people, I'm not talking financially, I'm talking follow them, share their content, spread the word, because a person might be in the same situation, not with Dahvie Vanity, with someone from their life. There's so many women, and obviously men as well, but this is on a larger scale happening to women who are abused and they don't report it. And that's what happened to me. I didn't report what happened to me, and I regret so much because I was 17 and I was stupid. That was 6 years ago. I didn't know that if I report it, at least I have a chance. I just thought if I do, nothing's gonna happen and I'm gonna be the idiot in the end. And I'm gonna be the one who's called out and judged and slut-shamed, and yeah, I didn't do anything, and I hope I had done something back in the day. But it's too late now, so all I can do is spread news about what's happening with other people in the hopes that at least one person can benefit from this. So yeah, now we're gonna move on to the big players, and that was the stream on Edwins Generation's second channel, Homeboys Got Receipts. The players who are involved, and it was a very, very long stream. I've watched it for 7 hours, like I said, like I was going insane at one point. CreepShow Art, TehMimi, Ashlee, Keemstar, Petty Paige, and Repzion, whom I don't really know who he is, but yeah, I know the rest of them. So basically, initially when the stream started, it was only Edwin and Ashlee. And Ashlee told her story, which made me cry a lot. She was abused by this person from the ages of 12 until I think roughly 14. And it happened in 2 instances. That was physical, but in the rest of them he was, you know, texting her and just grooming her, and yeah. When she was telling her story, she has confirmed afterwards that that person has, so Dahvie Vanity has actually gone on Edwin's stream and sent an emoji. So he watched the whole thing and he sent an emoji, and he has no shame and no remorse, and I hope she's okay. I hope she stays strong. I actually sent her a message and I said to her, thank you for telling your story. As someone who's been in a similar situation to yours, you are so brave and I love you and appreciate you. And she's seen the message and responded to it, and I'm very, very happy that I could at least for 1 second say something that would encourage this person to move on and keep going. Obviously you can never 100% move on from it, but you can live your life functionally and you can try to help others. That's the best you can do in a situation like this. It never goes away. So after it was only Edwin and Ashlee, CreepShow, Shannon came on, and then TehMimi came on as well, and they kind of discussed this stream. And CreepShow was very, very angry because she did a live before that, which she promptly like closed. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I know it was very short and it was deleted right after, and I know she was ranting and very, very angry, which understandably so. And when they talked about it, they just discussed, you know, the whole thing with Jeffree, what they feel about it, and then they got Keemstar on and he talked so much bullshit. He said that he wants to do the podcast with Jeffree. The whole time he was trying to plug his podcast, and he said it's not gonna be an accusation. It's gonna be a podcast about his life and his makeup and everything. And I was just like, what? This is not what we care about. We want to see him own up to what he's done and how he's been an accomplice, and maybe even try to help the investigation. He just did the biggest PR move of all time. He tried to disassociate himself with the situation just to save his brand, and I think the justice is more important than your money, and people would appreciate it if you try to help, and your fans would probably even more so buy from you and support you if you actually did something about this. So Keemstar said that he's gonna be interviewing him about more things than just this, and Shannon has said that she wants to be the one to ask the questions, because you've probably seen on Twitter, if you're following the situation, that she had a list of questions for Chris Hansen, and he called her out in the interview saying that I've received so many questions but I'm not going to be asking them. And that's why she was so angry, because he completely disregarded her good questions that would have actually put Jeffree on the spot, and he kept asking Jeffree the same questions but in different words. And Jeffree kept dodging the topics and moving on to his philanthropy work that no one fucking cares about. This is all I'm gonna say. No one cares. This is not relevant. And Keemstar defending Jeffree infuriated not only me but the whole chat. He then moved on to defend Onision, because he said his infamous interview with Onision. He went on to defend Onision and say that Onision was not grooming people. And when they added Repzion to the chat and him and everyone else were pursuing Keemstar to define what grooming means, and he didn't even know the fucking definition. This person is clueless. He should not be interviewing Jeffree Star because he's not familiar with the case. He knows nothing about it. You need to get Shannon or someone else to do the fucking interview because they know a lot more. That's what I'm gonna say on the Onision thing, that he defended him and that was shameful. And when Repzion called him out for it, he called Repzion a pedophile for dating his girlfriend who was 22, I think, when he's like 28, and he's met her when she was a fan, and saying that he's used the power imbalance of her being a fan of his to get her to be his girlfriend, and that he's the same as Onision. I was disgusted. His girlfriend came on the stream and basically told Keemstar to like fuck you or something like that. I thought it was really funny because why? How can you compare one person who's dating another person when she's the age of consent to Onision who's groomed multiple people and didn't date them? So it's not comparable. He only wanted to sleep with them. It's not an actual relationship. It's not the same fucking thing. It's not so hard to get it through your head, honestly. Another thing that really pissed me off is that Keemstar has called this situation tea and said he's not interested in doing tea. This is not tea. This is a felony. There are real people who have been hurt by this and they will never be able to fully move on until justice is served. This is not tea. This is not the same, I don't know, drama between Jeffree Star saying the N-word or something. Even that is bad, but it's not comparable. And I just don't understand how you can call it tea when this is an FBI fucking investigation. After that, they pretty much kicked Keemstar off because he was being very stupid, and Repzion left, and they got Petty Paige, who's the person who has been DM'd by Jeffree Star. If you've seen it on Twitter, that's the person. They've got her onto the stream, and I forgot to say Ashlee has left a while before that to go on Repzilla's stream because they were happening at the same time. And it was basically Edwin, CreepShow, Petty Paige, and TehMimi who were talking about what shady things Jeffree has done in the past, including saying that he wants to pour battery acid on a black woman, saying the N-word, accusing James Charles of being a predator. As I said before, this is not an isolated case, it's not a situation in a bubble. This is something that he's done many times. He tries to cancel people for no reason when they do something personal to him. I'm not saying, obviously in Dahvie Vanity's case it's not for no reason, but I'm saying on the James Charles situation, it just proves that in 1 decade this person has learned nothing. Nothing. And I don't remember exactly who said what, but there has been a lot of digging into Jeffree Star's past, including a clip of him saying that he slept with a guy who was throwing up in the toilet because he was blackout drunk, and then putting him in a taxi and sending him home. If a person is in that state, you cannot send them home. You have to take them to a hospital or take care of them because they can choke on their own vomit and die. And saying that you fucked that person, that's rape. That person was blackout drunk, he was throwing up, had no awareness of what was going on. That's, a person like that cannot give consent. Do you understand? He wrote in the caption that it's all a joke, but I don't buy it. I think the caption has been changed. And I think he did take advantage of that person being drunk. And the fact that he filmed it and posted a video to make fun of him publicly for being drunk, when it was probably Jeffree Star's fault that that person got that drunk. He was probably encouraging that behavior. He lied about drinking. As you know, probably by now, a lot of people have been exposing that when he says he's never drank alcohol, but there are pictures of him being with the glass of different alcohol, or with the bottles, or videos of him when he was drunk on tour. He could just say, I don't drink anymore. It's not that hard. You can admit you used to drink, it doesn't make you a bad person. He just wants this spotless, holy image of himself. I don't understand, because people can change, people can get better. So it's not that hard to admit. Obviously his backstory is a lie, saying that he had $500 when he started, but he was the assistant of, I think, Cat was born, I'm not too sure. And his number of how many dollars he actually had when he started keeps fluctuating. 400, 500, 2,000, 1,000, it just keeps changing. His backstory is a lie, that's all I'm saying. I don't believe he was like loaded rich, but I don't believe he was as poor as he claims he was. That's all. And another thing that has been discussed is the tweets that he sent out to 17-year-old British guy, model, I don't know, that they've uncovered. There are gonna be videos on YouTube on this, so if you wanna check more details, there is content that shows the actual screenshots when he was tweeting that he wants to sleep with this guy who was 17 at the time, and he was, I don't know, like late 20s. So pretty predatory and similar to what Dahvie was doing, but obviously that person was a lot older, but it's still underage, it's still a minor, it's still wrong. And then they brought up this other person who was a friend of his, and he's serving time in prison for having this revenge porn website. And there have been claims made that Jeffree actually had a revenge list of people that he wanted this person to hack and take their nudes and put them on the revenge porn website on his behalf as, you know, personal vendetta. So apparently Jeffree Star was involved in that somehow. They've also said that Jeffree is not donating, and that is morally wrong of him with the amount of money he has to encourage his viewers to donate while he's doing nothing. And that Chris Hansen did it all for the money because he put a preview of this interview days before and hyped it up on his Twitter so people could watch it, so that they don't think his reasons were genuine, which I agree with. When Petty Paige came on, she explained that Jeffree Star manipulates drama channels, and that's why there are not a lot of videos on this, because apparently he tries to tweet them privately and talk to them and build up not friendship but like trust, and he tells them things that they can never say publicly because they would involve talking about sensitive topics about other YouTubers. So you could never say the gossip you want to say without saying this hurtful thing, potentially offensive. So in that way they are silenced. He gave the example of when some drama channel posted something about Jaclyn Hill. Jeffree said Jaclyn Hill has been talking to him or to someone else about having suicidal thoughts, so you wouldn't want to be the one to cause that suicide. So that person was forced to delete the video because they felt guilty that, you know, Jaclyn Hill might hurt herself because of this. So he uses these techniques to silence the drama channels, and that's why none of them talk about him. So I was always wondering if they're just scared of him, but this is like the first time I've ever heard someone give a valid explanation as to why people are not criticizing him. And it makes perfect sense because I know he has dirt on everyone. So that way, it just makes sense that he would use that to silence people about him, at least. Perhaps the most disturbing thing that I have heard from the Jeffree Star Chris Hansen interview, which the other YouTubers have heard as well from some of the survivors, is that there have been instances of apparently Dahvie Vanity having threesomes with the mothers and then the underage girls, which is the most disturbing and disgusting thing I've ever heard. When they talked about it, I had like a knot in my throat the whole time. It's just so disturbing. But there have been a lot more things that were discussed in the stream, but as I said, I don't want to give out too much because I want people, if they want to seek it out, to actually go through Edwins' channel and then Patreon, because it's not my place to talk about things that have been deleted for a reason. But everything I'm saying is true. I've not like wasted, but I've spent 7 hours of my time watching that. I wouldn't lie. When so much of my time has been invested in this. This is very, very important to me. I know I have been kind of messy right now in the way I've spoken. This is very, very difficult for me to talk about because I'm not ready to talk about my personal story, but the person was in his mid-20s and I was 17, and it's not the same because I had to some extent the power to make a choice, but there has been a lot of coercion and there has been a lot of power play and manipulation, and there has been a lot of threats of violence that have stopped me from leaving the situation and from pursuing legal action. And I just don't want the same thing to happen to these people. I don't want them to be silenced. I don't want them to be discouraged because of Jeffree Star or because of Dahvie himself. I want them to stay strong, and I want this to be something that results in conviction, because he's still doing this. He's doing this shit. He tried to talk. There's at least 2 girls who are like, I think 15 and 16 or something like that he's still talking to, and he wanted to meet one of them after the virus was over. So I hope that she doesn't accept it. I hope that before then she's gonna see the videos and she's gonna understand what this person does, because I feel like she's still in denial. Because when your idol talks to you, you're gonna be like that. You're gonna be ecstatic. You're not gonna think that, yeah, he's a pedophile. And another girl that he's been talking with until very, very recently, until a few weeks ago, she was as well underage, but she cut ties with him because she was reached out to by other people. And yeah, there's so many of the survivors who are so brave, and they are sticking together, and they are trying to share the story and get it out and give FBI proof of everything that is happening. I hope that they have sent out the proof that he was on the stream, because he's like stalking Ashlee at least, and that's fucking creepy, and he's never gonna change. I don't know what more to say, because this is very, very difficult. If you've ever experienced stuff like that, please report it somewhere. Don't be me, and don't let people scare you into silence. And Jeffree Star, fucking wake up, man. Don't do this. You are the cause that this person might not go to prison now, because you're discrediting other people's stories. Damien, Ashlee, other people, no, Damien and Mal, they both said that you were there in some of the instances. So the fact that now you are denying that you saw anything is discrediting their stories. If you want to check out more stories and get a better understanding of other people who were not in this stream, but they were survivors of this and they have given interviews, check out Pastel Bell, her channel details more individual cases, and you can get to know, you know, the effect that this person has had. And please stop supporting Jeffree Star. It's not worth it. He's been associated with at least 4 pedophiles. Do you really think that he didn't know in any of the 4 instances? Do you really think that he's that stupid? He's not. He's involved in this, more or less. I'm not saying he saw any rape, but I'm sure that he had suspicions. When you see a guy going into his like trailer with underage girls on his own, then you're gonna think something's shady. And the fact that he's not saying anything and he's saying he hopes the victims find peace, he's a fucking hypocrite. He's a horrible person. And I just want this. He's the king of YouTube right now, and no one is holding him accountable. I want him to be dethroned, because there are people who actually make helpful, useful content, including the people who are talked about in this video. They are all such amazing and good people, and they deserve more of a platform than this disgusting trash of a human being. This is all I'm gonna say. I don't know what more to say. I'm sorry that this is fucking incoherent and just makes no sense. It's a very, very hard subject. I feel like even if nothing ever happened to you, it would still be the same, as hard as it is for me to talk about it. So please do your own research. These YouTubers have worded things in a more calm manner, and you would get more of an explanation out of their mouths than mine. But I'm just making this video to raise awareness that this is an issue that's going on, because Jeffree is like brushing it under the rug. Most of his audience probably refuse to watch. I hope when the podcast with Keemstar comes on that they get Shannon to ask a few questions, because Keemstar was offered this option by Shannon, but he didn't want to. But I hope that at least she sends him the questions and maybe he asks at least some of them, because that would be good. Her questions are amazing. They would put him on the spot in a way that he cannot worm his way out of it. Okay, that's everything. See you next time. Hopefully with a better, happier subject, because this is good driving me insane right now. It's just, these days I've only been sleeping and being sad and like playing video games, because my motivation since I saw that this person might get away with it has been, you know, down on the floor or even underground. I've been so demotivated. I hope I find the strength to make more optimistic content. I have a few ideas, but I need to get myself in the right mood. It's not all gonna be commentary. So if you wanna see some like life advice and just, I don't know, just quarantine stuff, how to be productive in quarantine and stuff like that, I'm gonna be making something like that. So please subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to all these people mentioned before, not Jeffree Star, all of the others. Unsubscribe to Jeffree if you don't want to support pedophiles. That's what I'm gonna say. It's your choice. If you like the makeup, whatever. I would just say I like Woody Allen's films. I watch them torrented because I would never put money in that person's pocket. So if you can find fake products similar to Jeffree's ones, that would be a good alternative to not support that person and then still get the best of both worlds. So please consider that. Alright, I've been talking for so long that I don't feel like this is gonna have a normal end, so I'm just gonna end it now.
Ever since the day that you